They're having a bad time at one California school where kids' test scores shockingly dropped to new lows after the school introduced a program known as woke kindergarten. This is going to piss you off, so prepare yourself. Apparently, a school in Hayward, California, right outside of San Francisco, spent $250,000 in taxpayer dollars to introduce students to a program that describes itself as a global abolitionist early childhood ecosystem and visionary creative portal supporting children, families, educators, and organizations in their commitment to abolitionist early education and pro-black and queer and trans liberation. Apparently, the program does not teach how to avoid run-on sentences. Woke Kindergarten is a for-profit teacher training and curriculum program that is the brainchild of a non-binary, didn't see that one coming, activist named Akia Gross. Oh, she's a real peach.
Yes, everyone, the rumors are true. I am anti-Israel. I am pro-Palestine. And I am 100% 10 toes down anti-Israel. I believe Israel has no right to exist. I believe the United States has no right to exist.
Woke Kindergarten's YouTube page features teaching tools like the woke word of the day, words like ceasefire and protest, teach Palestine, woke wonderings, and my favorite, Lil Comrade Convos. This chick is literally telling people she's going to turn kids into communists, and the school is like, oh yeah, sign us up. Pretty soon that school's going to have bread lines. The curriculum includes assignments that encourage kids to challenge the legitimacy of the Supreme Court while preaching abolishment of the police, money, and the military. Those must be some crazy word problems. If Sally has 3 candy bars and Billy steals 2 of them, explain how Billy is actually the victim. Show your work. Those who instruct teachers on the woke kindergarten curriculum use the phrase so-called United States and ask them to disrupt whiteness inside classrooms. Disrupt whiteness? What does that mean? I've told you for the last time, young man, stop oppressing the rest of the class by existing, or you'll lose your library privileges. No more sexually explicit graphic novels for you. Now, the results of the program are a mixed bag. Sure, reading and math proficiency scores have dropped 4 and 12% respectively at the school. On the plus side, androgyny is up 72%, racial resentment is up 53%, and brick throwing, statue toppling, and traffic blocking scores are all on the rise. You used to learn about pronouns in 2nd grade English. Now preschoolers learn about them on the first day of school, or else. When conservatives point out some of the insanity that's currently going on in school classrooms across the country, the typical leftist response is to say that it's an overreaction or that the things we're seeing are just figments of our imagination. Critical race theory isn't being taught in school. Teachers aren't promoting gender ideology. They're hanging pride flags and Black Lives Matter banners in the classrooms as a sign that all are welcome and definitely not to spread a favored political ideology. And you're a bigot. Sure, weirdo. Keep telling yourself that. To those of us who are not focused on making it socially acceptable for boys to wear contoured makeup and jelly shoes, it's increasingly obvious that teachers are taking on the role of activists. Some of them, like the woke kindergarten lady, know exactly what they're doing, hoping to shape the future of the country by promoting their own personal views. But others have just spent way too much time in the academic world, enjoying the smell of their own farts and convincing themselves that certain ideas are indisputable facts instead of heavily debated ideological matters. For example, critical race theory in the classroom teaches that modern America is systemically racist. Of course, the left views this as gospel. These teachers have adopted this as fact, when in reality it's not fact at all, but rather an opinion pushed by people who have an ideologically driven agenda. The idea that kids should get to pick their own gender and that transitioning should begin as early as possible isn't based on sound science. It's an effort by the left to change long-standing norms surrounding gender and sexuality. In both of these cases, what better place to start than with the kids? Which is terrible. They have those spongy minds that can absorb all sorts of crap. These educators don't care if kids can spell. They just want to make sure they grow up into adults who think the same way they do. Teachers provide a public service. This is true. But if you think that America is a completely screwed up society that needs fundamental change, you can easily start viewing part of your service as saving these kids from wrong ideas. And who would be spreading these wrong ideas to kids? A lot of the effort to turn classrooms into little activism factories comes from the idea that parents parents simply can't be trusted, and that the super smart teachers have to protect kids from parental ignorance. When you see that pride flag or BLM flag hanging in the classroom, they'll tell you it's about creating a welcoming atmosphere, as if the atmosphere at home couldn't possibly be welcoming, as if the rest of the country is a racist, homophobic cesspool where parents are abusing their gay children and where police are hunting down black kids for sport. This worldview is totally unattached from reality. It's not the parents who are out of touch, it's the teachers, administrators, and teachers unions. They think they're smarter than you and know how to raise your kids better than you do. Activist teachers in K through 12 is a growing problem in this country, as are school districts and localities moving towards curriculums that focus on equity and tolerance rather than merit and academics. Teachers are increasingly adopting the idea that knowledge and empowerment doesn't come from cultivating useful information, but through activism and the socialist agenda. And for Christ's sakes, why are you teachers so obsessed with the LGBTQ stuff? Sure, teach tolerance, but you don't need to hold a pride parade in your classroom every time RuPaul's birthday rolls around. It's totally understandable why some people would question the motives of educators who can't stop talking about sexual identity with 6-year-olds. Look, teachers, your job is pretty straightforward. Teach kids how to be functioning adults in society. Teach them to read, problem solving. Teach them our real history. Teach them how our government works. That's it. Parents don't need some 22-year-old blue hair fresh out of grad school and with piercings in places that I didn't even know could be pierced, teaching kids that America is a horrible, unjust place. You want to do that in college? Fine. But kids are required to get a K through 12 education, and you're ruining it and making it so that many of them will grow up hating their own country and themselves. That doesn't mean that every kid should be homeschooled, but it does mean that parents need to talk to their kids, know what's being taught in the classroom, and push back if it's insane. Woke kindergarten is a stupid, stupid idea. Not only that, but it has actually exacerbated inequities. The school in question is 80% Hispanic. The kids' test scores are dropping. By all accounts, the kids are worse off than they were before identity politics took over as the driving force behind the curriculum. The left has decided that imposing revolutionary ideology on kids with taxpayer money will benefit them in some way, when all it will do is confuse them and build resentment towards other groups. I want to end with an analogy. Think of this school as Hogwarts, and the kids as wizards and witches. If you don't teach them magic, and instead focus on house elf inequity and mudblood discrimination all the time, you know what happens? Voldemort comes, and he takes over. And when that noseless freak comes to get Harry Potter, all Harry can do is wave his flaccid wand around, complain about how unfair the whole situation is, and blame his misfortune on muggles. Okay, now maybe that analogy isn't completely aligned with what's going on in our schools, but I love Harry Potter. The book also gets a ton of kids interested in reading, which is what they should be doing in school, instead of focusing on how J.K. Rowling is opposed to trans liberation, which is not actually a thing. I'm Dan Joseph. Please subscribe to the channel by clicking the little red widget and give this video a like. Plus, check out my podcast, Dan Joseph's America, wherever podcasts are available.